Joint funeral service for 3 pupils who died in the horrific Vanderbijlpark crash will be held today in Sebokeng. And Newzroom Afrika's Zola Sholwana is there for us and joins us live now. It's been such a tragic week, Zola. You also covered funerals yesterday for us of some of the kids. Could you tell us a little bit more about the students who lost their lives in this crash?
Well, Master Chaba, since Monday, it's been news of tragedy and, of course, outpouring emotion from different parts, of South Africa. That is because of the impact of that accident. It's an accident that hasn't been seen in recent years. Of course, we do know of an incident similar to that happened in Fortville, last year. But of course, this, when it happened, and especially considering the fact or the manner in which it happened, it really touched a lot of people, Master Chaba. Yesterday, there were other children that were buried respectively by their families that decided to have their own ceremonies. It was one of the most emotional send-offs, hearing about these children and how their families had hopes for all these children. And now that they are no more, they are facing a journey, the toughest journey ahead of them. So today there's going to be a joint funeral service for 3 of the 14 victims that you are seeing on the visuals that my colleague is showing you. Amongst them, we are expecting to, receive the body of Tato Mweji, Ofenze Fenger, and Bukamoso Mokobo. We also do know that there is also another learner that is buried separately today. And it's going to be a really difficult one, Master Chaba, because these families, are really struggling to come to terms with the reality of the loss. These are school children. These are people that had dreams and hopes. Their families wanted to see them grow up, to become something in life. Some were even doing matric. I mean, Tato was in grade 12 and Sagwadi Mate was also in grade 12. So the family had hoped that they will complete matric so that next year they maybe go to tertiary. Now that they are no more, you can imagine how the families are feeling at this particular moment. Yesterday, we buried one of the youngest victims, Lesego. We heard from his teachers who said he had just started school, for about 3 days. So they were looking forward to, bonding with him and learning his character and getting to see what kind of a child Lesego is. And all of that is gone, Master Chaba. I mean, the crash has been described as one of the most devastating learner transport accidents following the Fortville one that we saw last year, and it prompted renewed calls really for stricter road safety measures and improved regulation of scholar transport services. And that's when we heard from GETS committing themselves. Of course, that is a scholar transport body here in the Gauteng province that has also been quite, active when it comes to these kind of incidents. That is where they recommitted themselves to a call of ensuring that they tighten their rules and policies to ensure that an incident of this kind is not reported. They also mentioned that, after these, young ones are laid to rest, that is when, of course, they will, look at the matter so that whoever that needs to be held accountable is brought to book to make an example or set an example with that particular person, so that all other scholar drivers, play their part to ensure that learners are safe. I'm going to see if I can, hear from Gauteng Education spokesperson Steve Mabona, as we understand that, this has also, involved the department quite a lot. Steve, thank you very much for your time. I mean, we've been really speaking about, calls being reignited about the safety of learners to avoid seeing those faces in a similar incident.
Yes, the Department of Transport, you might have seen, they're continuing with the process of making sure that they conduct operations where vehicles that are not supposed to be on the road, they're impounded. And one will say, you are doing this now, and the answer will be no. They've been continuing with this process. It's just that probably, cars were not impounded en masse. Now they are doing that, and we just want to call upon the transport operators. Let's make sure that our vehicles are ready to be transporting our children. Let's fix them. Let's avoid overloads and make sure that we adhere to the rules of the road.
Yeah. Speaking about scholar transport operators, do you think that they are cooperating in terms of playing their part to ensure that children are safe?
They are cooperative. I mean, you might have seen that on Friday they really destabilized our processes. We are affected in Vanderbijlpark and some of the schools in Lenasia. The attendance was low. And we then had to interact with them to say, we, as all stakeholders, we need to find a way of working together, making sure that there's no further disruptions moving forward. Let's adhere to what we're supposed to be adhering, all of us. And there is that understanding that on Monday, we're not going to be disrupted. They must be assisted, those that need to be assisted, to make sure that the vehicles are supposed to be, the way they are supposed to be on our roads.
Yesterday we spoke to one of the principals of the school, and they spoke about how this has affected their learners in their respective schools, because there are schools that have lost more than one child here. What kind of support is currently being offered to those learners who knew the deceased on a personal level?
You'll recall that we started on the following day, on Tuesday, went to all the affected schools. I mean, might have seen that Vanderbijlpark High School, or you can say what's called Vanderbijlpark, they lost about 5 children. Al Shaddai, I think, is the principal that you spoke to yesterday. They lost 4 children. So the process will continue. We need to support them. Not only schools, but the families, because we did indicate to families that it's going to take long for them to heal. So we're not going to leave them on their own. We offered the support. There we were with the sister department, social development, to say support the education and make sure that these families are supported through and through.
Thank you very much, Steve Mabona, Gauteng Education spokesperson there, speaking about interventions that have been done by the Department of Education to provide support to all the affected following this tragedy that we saw here. The program is expected to start just after 8 o'clock. We are waiting for family members to be dropped off here at the official venue from different mortuaries, as we understand that they will have their own, family, prayers in the morning just before they head to the official venue of the funeral, and this is of course where the service will be taking place. We are also expecting Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi to be delivering a eulogy here at the service. And of course, Masachaba, more than anything, we are hoping to hear from the relevant stakeholders as to what is going to be done to ensure that we do not gather again in this fashion, celebrating lives of young people who died in a manner or in an accident that could have been avoided. Back to you in studio.